Well, I just gonna come on and just say very quickly. George Lowe passed away. He was the voice of Space Ghost on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Cartoon Planet, the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. He was on the Brack Show as Dad and Space Ghost in some episodes. He also voiced Space Ghost in an episode of Robot Chicken, as well as recently he voiced Space Ghost in Jellystone, a show with like Yogi Bear and other Hanna Barbera characters, which is like on HBO Max or whatever. I think I've heard it's supposed to be also on Cartoon Network here and there, though I don't know for sure. But yeah, George Lowe, the voice of Space Ghost, has passed away. He was 67. He had been sick for some time. I know in 2023, on Facebook, that was where he mostly would post things on. He stopped, and it was revealed by some people who knew him. MC Chris, who was on Aqua Teen Hunger Force, as well as some other people that he had issues with his heart, and he had been in the hospital, and he later on had a nurse living with him for a while. I don't know if the nurse stayed with him until the end or not. Not sure exactly the extent of how sick he was, but other than he had been ill for some time. I mean, obviously it's been like 2023 to 2025. That's a pretty good amount of time to be sick, but exactly what kind of illness and all. We don't know whether or not, at least not right now, if the nurse stayed with him throughout the whole time or not. But yeah, I grew up obviously with Space Ghost and the various other Adult Swim kind of stuff, that humor, and Space Ghost really set within Aqua Teen and Brack Show and Sea Lab 2021 and Harvey Birdman and all these other things came to be from Space Ghost. And he was the big setup, at the center of it. He was the lead of that show. Did a great job. And fortunately, he passed away. Announced today, on March 4th. Whether he actually died today or not, I don't know. Could have been just announced and he might have passed away yesterday or maybe over the weekend. I don't know all the details other than what some articles have said, and so yeah, it's very sad, very unfortunate. Very talented guy, did excellent voice work. He also liked to draw and paint and stuff, so he did various things, and was quite talented. He'll be missed by the many friends he had and family. I don't believe he was married or had kids, though that doesn't mean obviously he doesn't have cousins or anything of the sort. But if whatever family he has, hope hope they're doing well. Lots of prayers and all that for them and his friends, and obviously the fans are going to be quite saddened by it. And see, Martin Croker passed away. The voice of Zorak and Moltar on Space Ghost, Brack Show, and many other Adult Swim shows, Aqua Teen, and all those guys sort of like did many things together. Um, in terms of being part of the various shows and projects on Adult Swim, though, as time went on, those guys all parted ways for one reason or another. Um, some people were let go, some stayed on, but you know, the work either wasn't as frequent as it used to be, or they just weren't utilized as to their full potential. I always thought George Lowe was somebody who should have been more well known. Same with C. Martin Croker, Andy Merrill, and all the other people associated with Space Ghost and all the various things that came from that show. I interacted with him a few times on Facebook over the years. Always a nice guy, very pleasant when interacting with him. Never got to meet him in person, but those little interactions I'll just remember, and how he was just a very nice guy. Very sad he's gone. I was just curious also about whether, what all he's doing, because I was watching Space Ghost not that long ago, and so I was curious how he's doing. Hadn't seen or heard anything from him for a while. And that happens. Like an actor or so, somebody who, for a good while you always saw and heard from them. Then all of a sudden you don't hear much from them anymore, and you're just curious as to what's going on. And yeah, I hope he was at least comfortable the last few years, even though he was had an illness. Still, hopefully he was comfortable, and may he rest in peace, along with C. Martin Croker. And Don Kennedy died, I believe, 2020. He was Tansit. He was older though, so I don't necessarily believe anything. He wasn't necessarily sick or what have you. He was just, an older man in his 90s. George Lowe's 67, would have been 68 this November. But yeah, he will be missed, and I'll miss hearing new stuff from him. I don't know whether or not he had been doing more voices for things. I mean, I know Jellystone happened. Well, we didn't see him and hear from him for a while, but still, you're just curious about stuff like that, because sometimes people do, if they do voiceover stuff, they can do sometimes many things in a fairly short period of time, though. I would imagine, since he had been sick for a while, he might not have been going and being very active of traveling somewhere or to do some voiceover. He probably had some kind of a office at home where he would just do recordings for, I would imagine. That way he could keep working and in the comfort of his own home, like especially when he was sick, not feeling well. But yeah, I just wanted to put this video out because obviously I enjoyed Space Ghost as a kid, and still do, and all the various Adult Swim shows he was involved with, as was that group of people who initially worked on Space Ghost and then did other things for the network. I know he did other voice roles too. I think he was in an episode of Beetlejuice, I believe I saw somewhere. Did some video game narrations. But yeah, rest in peace, George Lowe. He'll be remembered for years to come, and he's in my mind, He's a voice acting legend. He should be well known, more known than he is now, but hopefully people will, at some point, who have not actually seen or heard his work before, will find out about it in the near future. So, with all that, I will say goodbye to George Lowe and see you all of you next time. Hope you're all doing well. Please take care. Bye.